Hey everybody, Dobie here again with another game. This is our Mystery Player Series, game number 2. We won our first one. I'm embarrassed, I had the lotto. But, good players seem to win, even if they have to lotto. I was smart enough to figure out what side the board the flag was. And my opponent didn't know how to play defense. So now we got 12 points for that victory. We're going to player number 2, who doesn't have as many games as our first player, and he's still under 500 with an ELO of 112. So let's get started here. And I'm probably going to mix up my setup. Like I said, these games were... I played these in March, so that's like 6 or 7 months ago. And I'm moving things around, doing things on the fly. It can be difficult to play new setups. And my setup is definitely not optimized ideally here, so don't copy this. This is not a video on setups, but more on strategic attacking and defense. So we have our flag on A4, and I guess we're almost ready to go here. Maybe I should speed it up. Okay, here we go. Connecting. So I'm playing with majors up front, and I have a bomb down here, trying to do things a little bit different. And again, I'm getting cocky here. I should go up and over. But since he was coming down the middle, I decided I could play a little cocky. But you can lose games this way. You really shouldn't do that. So he's being very bold here. Now, normally... when I first started playing, one of the common tactics, one of the most basic traps that players have on the beginner level is the 4-1 spy trap, the major marshal spy trap. And I should have the marshal up here for this to work. And if you watch the Mystery Player series, which is what I'm trying to do, except I have my flag up front, in a lot of his games, he used the major spy marshal trap. And because it's so enticing for beginners, they're so enticed to capture this major with the marshal. And they think if they can get this major, they're going to win the game, because most beginners don't know how to play from behind. And hopefully after you watch this series, you'll learn how to play from behind, because in a lot of my games, I play from behind. So, but anyway, they'll bring in usually it's a marshal to get the major. And then a lot of times beginners, when they go down a major or a major and a captain, they think there's no way they can come from behind, and they quit. But if I had the marshal up here where my colonel was, and if this was a marshal, he takes it. I take it with a spy. If he comes with a general, I take it with the marshal. If he comes with the colonel, I take it with the marshal. So it's a very effective trap. And I don't think I used it at all in this series, because that's just so common. But I'll talk about it here. So we'll move on. And let's see what happens to my major. Oh, wait a second. I have to click play. So unfortunately, I didn't have my marshal there, and I would have got his colonel. So we tried tricking him, baiting him to come over. He was smart enough not to go for it. So I'm down in this game a major. So basically I'm looking for his high pieces. When I probe, I'm just trying to find the Marshal, General, and Colonels. And when you play beginners, most of the time they're in these 8 squares behind the lake. So now he's probably going to target this major. Since he had no fear coming in with a high piece to take my major here. He's probably going to come after this major. So that was kind of unusual, a beginner having a major up front. Usually they play scared. They usually don't have majors up front. That's usually higher players do that. So I'm just trying to cover the flag. So that was a scout. I probably should have just scouted it, but at least that tells me that this isn't a scout since he moved a scout over here. That would be kind of dumb moving a scout in front of a scout. So I'm not doing too bad. I'm down a major, put up a captain and lieutenant. And we know where his colonel is, so that's always important. Colonels, you always want to remember where colonels and majors go when they pull them back, because those are very valuable targets. You wind up capturing the majors and colonels, and you're going to win a lot of games, especially the colonels. So always remember where they go. I usually never forget that. Since I'm a counterattacking player, I have to remember where the targets are. I usually forget where the Marshal and General go. Like I lost in the first game of the series, I lost track of the General. So that's probably a high piece coming down to my major. And this player is really brave. He didn't... What I might have done, I should have done this. When he came down with his Marshal here and got my major, I should have pulled this piece out real fast. That's a common tactic I do, and I've done it thousands of times. When you play players from 600 level down, you pull out right away, and it's so enticing for the Marshal to chase. And since there's usually bombs behind the lakes are usually fairly rare, the opponent will chase right into the bomb. But I didn't do it in this game. I usually always do that. It works almost all the time, especially if you pull away real fast. They chase right into the bomb. So that kind of sucks that he found my bomb with a scout. But now the good part is, now even though we're down 2 majors, I know where his Marshal is, and his Marshal's out of place. So now I know where his Colonel is, because his Colonel got my major. So now all I have to do is get my General up there quickly and try to get his Colonel. That's very important right now. So he's doing the right thing. He's running back on defense. And see, that's one thing I had to do here. I really had to, even though this probably wasn't a scout, I had to cover this up. And that cost me a step to get to the Colonel. But now here was the mistake my opponent made. And he was being super cautious because he thought this might be a spy. That's a mistake when you get caught out of position. He thought this could be a spy. He was worried if he came up with his marshal that I would take him with the spy. But that would be very brave of me, because if you look, he still had 3 scouts left. And I put this piece right up on the colonel. So that would be a very good, brave move, right? His colonel, I had the miner right up against the colonel. So he I think he overthought that. This would be a very brave move. This would be a high level move if I would, almost like a desperation move to bring up a spy so early. But maybe it would have worked. But in this case, he was too cautious to. So he brought up the sergeant, and now he loses his colonel, and now this piece is moved. And you can almost assume this is the general, right? Colonel, spy, general. It's pretty obvious setup. And now this is the fun part of playing with a flag up front. It's extremely difficult to trap pieces on this side. It's very dangerous. You will lose a lot of games, and that's what makes the games thrilling. When pieces come down here, you hope they don't lotto into this. I hope they believe it's a bomb, and most of the time they do. But sometimes they'll instead of being trapped, they'll run into this to test this, and then they'll win the game. They're probably in shock, but so sure enough, it was the general. That's always common: general, spy, colonel combination. So you always want to look for that. So he respected it. He thought it was a bomb. Now I'm always scouting, looking for pieces to kill. But I decided this was going to be a little tricky here. Maybe I could have got out, got back down. But I decided it really wasn't worth it. Now that I got the colonel, I decided not to take the captain. I was more worried about him now lottoing with his general, because that's always a problem with beginners. When they get down, they go into lotto mode, and you have to be ready. You have to be ready to play defense to stop the lotto. Like I say, if you lose to lotto, it's because you're not playing good enough defense. You have to expect it. It's part of the game. See, this is an advantage when he doesn't know where your high pieces are. He can't be so brave. But this player was a little. This player was a little brave. He would come charging in. He wasn't worried about marshals or spies. And that got him the lead. He's up 2 majors, but now he was down colonel, because he was worried about a spy that was a minor. I'm not sure why he did that, but now he's really screwed. When you go down a general and a colonel, it's very bad. Now I just have to worry about his marshal. And now he finally found my spy. he wasn't 3 times lucky coming into my zone. And now that was victory. So that was victory. Game 2 here. We got the win. And I was happy with it. We were down 2 majors, but we wound up coming back. And we almost had problems trapping the, the general could have lotted my flag. But we survived, so we won game 2. So we're getting better. At least we didn't have to lotto to win this game. We played a little bit better. So on to game 3. Thanks for watching. Hope you learned something. Bye.